Skinner, Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Hello, Mr. Radio.
Oh, I haven't heard that for ages. I'm with Emily Dean. And Alun the Cockerel Cochrane.
It is genuinely ages since you've used any of those.
Well, I was reprimanded, if you recall, last week.
Yes, you were.
For dropping your nickname.
Not by me, but by one of the listeners.
One of the listeners, yeah. And I never officially dropped it. It just passed me by. Simple as that.
I'm seeing it as being like a version of your mood hoodie, and this is you in a sort of giddy.
I just don't want it to be some Paul Ince governor type thing where we're trying to make it stick.
No, we didn't invent it, remember. It was
Okay.
sent in. And
Yeah.
once
Yes,
the listeners
indeed.
have spoken... By the way, speaking of texting in, you can text us on 81215. Or you can follow us on that which they call Twitter, at Frank on Absolutes. And relax. Lovely?
Mm-hmm.
So, do I look any different?
Oh my God, he's had work.
No, I haven't had that.
And we didn't notice. Imagine
That'd
if
be
Frank
great.
had work. He
The
came
worst
in and his
work
whole
to get.
face was
I'd love to
changed.
come in with an elaborate facelift. Or a real, full, complete, different, witness protection programme job.
Oh, that'd be good.
So the voice, you could pick up on the voice on the clothes, but the face was completely different. That'd be, you could do it on radio. That's one of the joys of radio.
Yeah.
You can remain in your show, regular show slot, whilst taking part in the witness protection programme.
You can
Many.
stay anonymous, and many do.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be lots of people at Radio 1 doing exactly that. So,
Oh God.
So I had that which I believe is known as root canal work.
Oh, Frank.
Well, people say
That's got to hurt.
Yeah, people say that. Whoa, it's a big, and that's what I like about it because it's got a bit of notoriety.
That's all I've got in the root canal conversation.
Yeah,
is,
but it's good, though.
I've heard that.
Have you had it, Al?
No, never. But I've heard that
I've
it's
had it.
Ooh,
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to blow the gaff on root canal.
not as bad as
Oh.
it sounds.
Yeah, it's all right.
Oh, really?
It's fine.
It's all right.
It's absolutely fine.
Was the tooth pain before the root canal bigger than the root canal pain? Is that what you're saying?
There was no pain. I just
I thought you were in agony
fancied
when
it.
you were talking. You just like the sound of it.
I'm just got a Venice theme running down the left-hand side of my head.
Like when American kids got braces just because they were cool. Is it like that? You
I
thought,
felt
I'll have a go at that.
In my
What sort of-
this terrible punning illness, I thought, what a great
it is
time
an
to put
illness.
a little gondola on top. Well, I read about a bloke, did I tell you this? A bloke who had an operation on his brain, and they must have tickled his punning area.
Oh, yeah.
And when he woke up, he couldn't stop. He did about 8 puns, one after the other, all about surgery, scalpels,
Brilliant.
masks. Brilliant.
I bet the novelty wore off, but at first when he
And that
came
man
round, I
was
thought,
William Shakespeare. Frank,
Tim Vine it was.
were you on heavy medication, I'm assuming, at this stage?
Well, I only had the one big needle.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't, it was fine. There was some smoke. You know when you're being drilled?
Doc Cotton was in the room.
You know when you're being drilled and it starts to actually physically smoke? You could see it.
Oh.
I was so calm about it. Looking back, I was sitting there, my tooth was on fire. I've said tooth, by the way.
Well done.
It was on fire. I could smell it. Because your mouth is, I don't know if you ever noticed this, the mouth's quite close to the nose.
Yeah, yeah.
So the smoke, was, I could smell it. Luckily, the dentist was a Native American, and he was able to manipulate the plume of smoke to call me a car at the end of the end of the thing. No, so it was fine. Anyone who's got root canal coming up, it's lovely. I'd really recommend it. And I'll tell you something, the worst thing about the dentist for me is not the drilling and all that. It's
The conversation, I hate.
no, it's the water in the mouth that you're not supposed to swallow.
Oh, I love the pink water with the pill in it.
No, I like this. I like the would you like to rinse out now
Oh,
water.
I love it.
That's brilliant. I'd like a bottle of that ever at my side for
I
rinsing out
wish you could
purposes.
order that in restaurants.
Yeah.
Can I have the pink water, please?
Yeah,
With
and
the
you know
dissolving pill.
And you know that ice bucket you have on the stand? Could you put that at the side of me, but empty, just for spitting? It'd be great as a palate cleanser. But no, I'm on about when they had to shoot water in to stop your mouth catching fire, and then I always want to swallow, you know that thing. But with this work I had, they had a little rubber sheet with a hole in it, and they stretched it so it was just the tooth was in the hole, sticking out.
What?
Yeah. So you know when
Like a little circus, big top.
it was like when the chimney sweeps used to come when I was a kid, and they cover the whole house except for one hole where the chimney is. It was like that.
Wow.
What happened to those characters? No one gets that dirty at work anymore. They were proper, absolutely black face, black hands, black clothes. They'd come to the door like that. They started work like that dirty. No one now. Everyone's got jobs. Oh, I'm a consummate platform operator. Rubbish. Where's the sweeps of yesteryear? Sooty, 2008.
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Now, what I think is, I was in the chair for 2 hours at the dentist, and I think there should be some sort of in-flight entertainment.
Right.
It's quite...
Well, didn't you have any?
Well, no.
Oh, my dentist always gives me Sex and the City box. They're all
God,
sorts.
I wonder where that was going. Tell you what, it doesn't... You don't have there's a screen in there.
There's a screen.
No.
Yes.
What, can you
You
see
can
it?
keep
What
saying
about the
no.
big
I'm going
lights?
to keep saying yes. It happened.
But the big light's in the way, isn't it?
Well, it depends what procedures you're having.
This is the
I don't know where
dentist.
to look. Well, I mean, if I'd thought, I would have gone for my audio.
Oh, you could have taken a Dracula, or
Yeah, exactly.
maybe
but,
that's finished now, isn't it? But
Oh, that's long gone. I'm on the unabridged Boswell's Life of Johnson. That's a few hours.
I listened to the talking book you gave me the other day, the War of the Worlds.
How was it?
It was great. Really
Bit frightening.
Yeah, a bit frightening.
Well, that's what you want from War of the World.
But I knew that it was going to be frightening, so it was frightening in a good way.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
50 years later.
Well, I went to my accountant's yesterday.
Bit frightening?
How was...
No, it was all right. I walked past
Don't
the...
talk about that.
I walked past the Jimmy Carr shrine in the corner. Now, in the waiting room there, you know, you go in the
waiting room and the accountant. Oh, I know what you mean.
You know, when you go in the waiting room anywhere, you might get, Reader's Digest or something like that.
And that, Geo.
There's an iPad in my accountant's. You can with games loaded.
No way.
Yeah. So I
Who's
had.
paying for that?
Well, I hadn't thought of that.
Ah.
I was thinking the calibre of people that are coming in there are obviously trustable because he's leaving iPads lying about.
Well,
no
it's-
one's popping it into their tote bag,
Yeah,
or whatever.
I hadn't thought of that.
Man bag.
But the receptionist is keeping an eye on things. Nothing's going crazy. So I had 10 minutes with Angry Bird before I went into the... Yeah.
Angry Bird, like
Yeah.
he's a friend of yours.
Yeah. No, what happens is I Skyped Kath. That's what I meant. No, I'd never played Angry Bird before, and it was great. So, I mean, that's what people need to have. The days are gone when people just sit and stare into space. You need entertainment. So the next time I have dental work, I'm going to say, do you mind if I listen to my audiobook? I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, Sex and the City box set. Lovely.
Don't fancy that much. That's
I'll give you my
girls.
dentist's number. No, I will give you my dentist's number.
I walked. I went walking the other day, and through London, it was belting down the rain, and I had me cagoule hood up, and I was listening to Boswell's Life of Johnson, and it was
Extraordinary sight.
one of the cosiest. You know, when you get the hood right over, it's like being in a little cave. Loved it. Everybody needs cave time. Sometimes
Speak
it's in
for
the
yourself.
car. Yeah. Don't you even get it in the toilet? Sometimes
What,
you get
cave
in the
time?
toilet and you think, oh, lovely and cosy here on my own.
Cozy.
I thought you were talking about your talking book that you were taking in the
I don't
toilet.
take a
was thinking,
talking book. That. Maybe
I
I
know
should
what
take
you
a talking
mean.
book. to
That
the
time
toilet.
is precious, Frank, in the toilet. I agree.
Yeah.
Love that time. Never get that time back.
Especially when you got a child. Oh, I'll go and spend 2 or 3 hours in there. Yeah, it's lovely. Oh. No, everyone's got their own little caves, so, my little places.
see that.
You need that.
I see putting the extractor fan on as like lighting a little log fire as well. Just for a bit of atmos.
Well, I had root canal surgery this week, so I'm not an Extractor fan at the moment.
Oh,
Very good.
lovely. Frank,
Feeling good.
Very good.
we've had news from the outside world.
Good.
Lee...
On 8, 12, 15.
I believe so. Lee says, Eamon Holmes yesterday advised on his daytime show that Daniel Craig had taken his PA/secretary. I think he used the word stolen.
And of course, Daniel Craig, as regular listeners will know, had my cleaner.
Oh.
Well, he's building his staff the way Man United used to build their youth team. That'll be libelous, probably. No, I think they owned them. I think they got caught.
I think they did.
Why
Yeah.
are they going to Daniel Craig and leaving you and
Yeah,
Eamon?
exactly. Well, he's the man of the moment, isn't he, Daniel Craig? And they know he's away a lot, so life's easier. Whereas I'm just hanging around. Still, I'm in the toilet 5 hours a day. I don't know what they've got to worry about. He needs to be stopped, though. He's a poacher.
He will kill again.
Yeah, well, you know, he's got the licence.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, just
Don't frank me.
oh my good heavens, angry bird. Nugget, who's one of my regulars, he's actually tweeted us to say, "Morning, Mr. Radio." It's taken off, Frank.
Yeah.
Our dentist also has a screen to show films or calming images, mainly for kids.
I'm missing out. I don't you for 1 second think I'm going in NHS. But I get nothing. I'm
DFS, you go.
I'm just staring into the light. I'd go DFS for a better choice, yes.
Very 70s not to have a screen. And then Marie says, also, I agree, root canal treatment, no big deal.
Thank you, Marie.
Oh, somebody else has
it's
texted.
all been bogus, the whole thing. People talk about it like it's doing extreme sports.
Yeah, and Al has emailed in saying, I had root canal last week and it was so relaxing that I fell asleep in the chair while the dentist was drilling my smoking tooth.
Smoking tooth?
Then I went for a... Smoking tooth is like... It should be a new phrase. You know, like smoking gun is
It's
a
what
phrase.
Tony Blair was looking for. He found a smoking tooth.
Yeah, Saddam had a smoking tooth.
I was very, very relaxed. I was bored.
He says that he went for a drink afterwards and spilled it all down his numbed face.
Yeah,
I
well,
quite like that. If I've had tooth... sometimes... I once had a shave after having an injection when I was getting some dental work done. Weird.
That's a dangerous business.
High risk.
You
But
could
I'm a
have
thrill
got
seeker.
You could have got an inch and a half deep into
I'm
that
a thrill
knot now.
seeker. Didn't
Yeah,
bother
I
me.
was on a bus once and everyone was staring at me and I thought it was because my face is all out of shape. But when I got home, a long trail of mucus was from my nostril right to the very tip of my chin.
God.
Yeah, I look like a very... I look like half of a blown glass version of Hulk Hogan.
Frank? Yes? Never mind all this. Can we please discuss one of my favourites, P. Middy?
Ah, yes, Pippa.
Pippa Middleton.
Ah, Pippa.
It can't ever escape
Pippa.
your notice that she's wrote in a book.
I'll say she has what? Celebrate.
She's wrote in a book. That's
it.
what James Harris said once when he was interviewed. He said, I've wrote in a book. Yeah, she has wrote in a book, and I don't know if you've seen much of Celebrate.
I know what it's about. It's about partying, isn't it?
Well, I was going to write a similar book in the 90s, but the content was different. It was called
It would
Celebrate.
have been a tragic,
She tells you...
vile book.
Been vile. That was one of the reviews. She tells you how to make a cup of tea.
Well, I hope that it's bought by lots of people in the south of England, where
In
it is
this
a
room.
rare skill.
In this room.
Yeah, exactly. None of the skills. And can I say anyone who's thinking of moving down? There's no dry stone wall in London that I've seen at all. I thought it'd be all along the motorway.
Is it you that thought that London was pedestrianised when you first came?
Yes, he drove
Was it you?
to Collindale and parked his car. Am I right?
Yeah, well,
I was trying to remember who that was the other day.
I thought paved with gold. They're not going to let people drive on that.
He drove to one of the ends of the tube
It
line,
was Collindale,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember that. And then...
I thought that was as close, as far in as you could get. Well, I didn't know any better.
Oh, I love it. It's
I've got
so
a CD dry stone wall separating my lounge.
All right.
Yeah, and the cases. It's beautiful. You could run at it. It won't give. carry on.
So she also tells you how to play conkers.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a very long chapter, I don't think.
No.
She says put nail varnish on it. She says we did
Oh,
that.
really?
It was
That sounds
cheating.
like
It
it's
was a bit
cheating,
naughty.
There's lots of, I understand there's lots of we did this when we were kids, you know.
Yeah.
And every time the people read the we, they think, oh, God,
course,
it's a reference to Kate.
The Conkers advice is good for people these days if they're on a shoestring budget.
Oh, well, if you're also on a shoestring budget, how about caviar-laced scrambled eggs?
I'm having such a good time this morning, can I say that?
Why, because there's been puns?
It's like being at the theatre. You know what, I like Pippa Middleton.
Me too,
Yes, you
I'm
do.
glad you've said that.
And she's got, have I mentioned before the sad face, happy face thing with her?
Yes, you have, but please do...
But the bottom half of her face is lovely, smiling, it generates a sense of joie de vivre.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas her eyes have a terrible sadness that she's lived through many bleak experiences. If you got the two, say if you got metal versions of the tragedy mask and the comedy mask, and did a second-hand car salesman bit and welded two halves together
A
because
cut
they'd been
and
damaged,
shunt.
you
I
would
believe
have
they're
Pippa
called.
Middleton. If you cut and shunted,
Oh, God.
yeah, sorry, I think we got through it. Yeah.
Absolutely ill.
Yeah, that's what she's got. The sad up. If she took to wearing a yashmak in public, people would think, oh, she's very unhappy, very sad person. If she went around blindfolded, they'll think she's full of life. How strange.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We was talking about Pippa Middleton.
P-Middy, yeah.
We were.
So you're both fans, aren't you?
I'm glad to hear that, Frank. I'd say she's my favourite royal. She's my
she?
favourite.
Oh, whoa,
She's my favourite.
whoa.
I'm doing
She's
this
not-
to slightly annoy
Yeah.
people who get annoyed in this way. But yeah, she's
She's my
definitely,
favourite child of party planners.
definitely my
That's what she
favourite
is.
princess. She is. She's my favourite princess.
I'm sure if the Beastie Boys were here, they would defend her to the hilt.
Would they?
They would fight for her right.
To party?
Well, at least to organise a party.
That's what she should have called the book, Frank. Much better.
Oh, I like the fact
Yeah.
that she's called the book Celebrate.
Do you?
For people that think that, you know, the royal family have included a commoner, the fact that she's called her book Celebrate, and I believe her brother's got a book coming out called Party, and the dad has got one called Ka-Ching, and the mum going, woohoo! I think it's great. They're cashing in on it just enough
Yeah.
for them to be like normal people, but not too much to annoy me. It's just right. They've got the balance exactly right. I love it.
I think, you know, that's what she does, is the party things. That's all right for her to write.
Yeah, but she might not have got that opportunity,
And
where she
I-
not...
400 grand.
And can I say that
It's all right, isn't it?
I celebrate the fact that the book is not called something like Top Bottom, and to get the perfect derriere with Pippa Middleton. 'Cause she must have had 10 million offers to write the perfect bottom book.
Yeah,
Well, I
but she
think-
wouldn't be allowed.
I think her
Who
Pilates
could stop her?
instructor did a DVD.
Well, I don't think the royals would like it.
It could
Frank.
be called the Siesta with the Keister. What about that? They wouldn't allow it. They can't. They got no control over her.
Yeah, but then the money's going to dry up, isn't it?
She doesn't
what
get
I do
money from
think,
that. Oh, wow!
She does from the association. Okay, then the Wimbledon tickets will dry up.
Well, maybe, yeah. Okay.
Look, all I'll say, I know Karl Lagerfeld is no fan. He said, famously, she struggles.
Of Pip Middleton.
Yeah.
He said she struggles.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd really trust his judgment.
But, no, I was going to say, I thought she scrubbed up very well.
Yeah.
The launch part, 4 outfits, lovely.
4 outfits.
The hair was a bit spoilt Victorian child, but I thought the outfits were great.
I loved the fact that she wore 4 outfits. And people on the Daily Mail commenting about her wearing 4 outfits. I like that. Makes me identify with her.
Well,
I've got
I-
children. I quite often wear 4 outfits for the day.
As a
3 of them have been soiled, but that's not the point.
Well, as a former Rear of the Year, I know what it's like to be...
How did that even happen?
to be reduced to just a bum on legs. I know what that's like. And
Who was the lady when you won it? Must have been
Carol
Alderman.
Smiley, wasn't it?
Carol Smiley.
How do I know that?
How do you know that?
How do I know that? It's 'cause it's been mentioned.
and
on
I
the show,
found I became a bit of a sex object for some. People would prod.
Oh,
people would
God.
prod. People would
Just a
prod
walking
without
bottom.
even asking. They would
People
prod.
would prod.
They would. They'd come and have a
Did
bit
they
of
really?
a... They would, yeah, and I think that's rude. I hear people walking away saying that, there isn't a bit of give in it. Yeah, it's like people, when you see people buying cantaloupe, it was like that. So I'm with me and Pippa. I understand her pain.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Email corner. We have received emails from some of our listeners. Par exemple,
We have Dear Frank, Alan and Emily, I hope you've had a lovely week and are looking forward to your extra hour tomorrow. Brackets, assuming you're reading this on Saturday. Clocks go back tonight, everybody.
Yes. My Sherlock analysis skills tells me this person doesn't have young children.
Maybe. I was just pedestrian racing while listening to last week's show. I heard Frank talking about Heelys. Largely due to finding a pair in LA in my size and having wondered if they actually worked, I bought a pair. They've given me a lot of pleasure and have really aided my racing. They also led to me making a lot more friends, getting a tip in euros in an Italian village, and even speeding up my commute. I was going to do a night's move now and say if ever Frank wants a go on them, I would be happy to let him. But I'm sure he's too busy. Have a lovely week. Simon Long, time listener, first time corresponding. I think his name's Simon Long.
Oh,
See what he's done.
Long.
Another
Long-time
punter.
listener. Yeah.
Very good.
Frank, that's the first
Very good.
night's move for you. Congratulations.
That's nice, isn't it?
And who's to say I won't ever get... I was talking about these last week. Heelys are those... they're like... Kids have them usually. They're shoes with like little wheels on, so you can go sliding. I was talking about that I slid everywhere as a child.
And he's saying-
Like some sort of reptile.
He's saying, I'm sure you're too busy, but what kind of adult would that make you? The kind of adult that's too busy to have a go in some Heeley trainers? You're
Also,
not.
surely the Heelys are going to save me time.
Exactly. Shave a couple of minutes off the week.
Yeah, I'm quite keen. And I could, while I was on them, I could sing the opening song from Elvis Presley's film Roustabout, Wheels on My Heels.
Excellent.
Oh, a great movie, Frank.
Oh, man, it couldn't be any better than that, could it? I'd like some of those with lights on, you know, the ones that you see with...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if
yeah.
they do those for adults.
Bit Knight Rider.
You are. But, don't say... I'll tell you after, I had the strangest pair of trainers anyone's ever had in the history of trainers. Yes, these trainers, I was sent them, and they got, like, these really hard plastic bits on the bottom with, like, they're concave. And they said that the idea of them is that if you're out in a sort of a built-up area, you can use them for sliding down metal handrails.
No.
Well, can you imagine it?
No,
Yeah. Metal handrails.
What, like
I don't want you doing that. You'll
like
have
a
one of your falls.
skateboarder? Like somebody
like
on
a
a
skateboarder.
Tony Hawk's video game
Yeah,
type
like
thing.
like
Can you
those
imagine
people
Frank
who,
doing that?
You know those
Awful.
people who, what they call it, jump the city or whatever. Do you know
Oh,
those
yeah.
people who
I
jump
know
the
those
city?
Oh,
people.
the,
Can you
parkour.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Parquet.
Okay. Not
No.
Birmingham front room.
No. Anyway, I've never dared try them.
No.
But I'd like to know if anyone else owns any of those or really knows, because I'm very unclear that anyone would ever use them.
Perhaps bring them in next week and we'll have a go on the absolute banisters.
Yeah, I tell you, they... No, I'm not
The
kidding.
absolute banisters are our legal team, we should just say.
Yeah, they're very good. You should see them run. Sub 4 minutes every time. By the way, I noticed that I said earlier, when I was talking about people prodding my bottom like they would if they were buying a cantaloupe, I said like they were buying cantaloupe. And I sort of associate...
Oh, I see.
I assumed that the plural of cantaloupe was cantaloupe, the way it is with antelope. Because it's a bit like antelope. And it's a very dangerous assumption. I'm edgy about it.
Yeah, don't start
I
assuming
love
things
what
are like
a
antelope.
perfectionist you are.
Yeah, but I don't want to...
Don't return to the old cantaloupe.
You know, you can't use that. Oh, well, it sounds a bit like antelope. That won't stand up, will it, in a
Frank.
court of law?
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Alan the Cockerel Cochrane and Emily Dean. And you can text us on 81215 or follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute.
Now, are we technically still in the email corner
Well,
area of the show?
yeah, I think we are.
If we're to look at the floor space, where are we standing? I have an email. Dear Frank, Alan and Emily, It's come to my attention that there's another show currently on TV with a title that clearly came before the content of the show was decided.
I should say that we've spoken about shows that were made just because they had a catchy title, as far as we could see.
Indeed, and this one is called Jews at 10. It's on Channel 4 on Tuesday nights at, you guessed it, 10 p.m. The content of the show is described on the Radio Times.
Does it start with a picture of, instead of Big Ben Gurion?
I haven't seen it myself.
I think that's the first David Ben Gurion joke we've had, certainly this morning.
Perhaps the last.
But possibly ever.
He continues, the content of the show is described on the Radio Times website as jokes, stories and fables of Jewish life told by well-loved Jewish celebrities and figures from the community. I think this can safely be slipped into the same category as shows such as Aid in Britain and Desperate Scousewives.
Yes.
Whilst I'm on, I'd like to say how lovely I think Emily is. However, I'm spoken for, so if she's ever in the South Warwickshire area, she's to contact me and I'll put her in touch with my mate Carl, who'd be only too pleased to take her out for faggots and peas and a pint of ale at the local hostelry.
Lovely.
Well, I think I'd be up for that as well.
Well, OK, you go then.
Who's that from?
That's from Tom in Alcester.
Can I say,
Ulster.
Is it?
Ulster.
No, he's not from Ulster.
No, he is.
It's from Warwickshire.
You do say Ulster, though. That's the Ulster. Ulster says yes, not instead of no.
Ulster.
I've always thought that Ian Paisley might have had much more success politically if he'd have said, Ulster says no, thank you. People would have thought he's all right. I have an idea for a show, by the way.
Go on. Well, are we the right people to tell? What about your agent, manager?
One based on a name. Because I've often thought I would like a news programme that instead of looking at the day's news, looks at the next day's news. Because you often know what's going to happen. Certain things, speeches are being made and stuff. And sort of looking forward. Right. So that when you're watching the news unfold, you've got a bit of background.
That's a good idea.
And I thought it could be called Manana-rama.
Oh, like Panorama / Manana.
Yeah.
I like it.
OK, well, we'll get that off to the
let's
BBC.
Workshop it.
I've been phoning the BBC about it. They've been engaged all week.
You think they've got something on?
They've got something on going on there. I don't know what it is.
This other stuff's happening. Frank, can I just say at this juncture, I do actually like Jews at 10. The show.
I haven't seen it.
It's good, and our close personal friend Steve is in it.
I like Jews at 10, but when they get older,
it's one of my favourite programmes. But that won't surprise you because, as you well know, Frank, everyone does tend to assume I'm Jewish. Can we be honest about this?
Well, I'll be honest. I thought for many years that you were Jewish.
I know.
When I first met you.
I know.
It was that little hat you always wore. And also I thought you were very overprotective about your airspace.
But people always assume that I am Jewish.
Yeah, but that's a good thing, isn't it?
I love it. I kind of pretend that I am because I love it. And
it's because you're kind of sharp and spiky and bright the way Jewish women
because
often
I say
are.
oi, oi, oi.
You do say that a bit.
But your manager actually said to me once, who is Jewish, he said, there's been a terrible mistake of some sort. It's a terrible mistake of some sort. He said, they've got that wrong. Well, my family got that wrong. It's not like a percentage of the gross. They've got that wrong. He said that.
Well,
do you think he means there was a switch up?
Yes.
I think it's good. I think it's probably because you have Jewish friends you've been influenced by it.
I think so.
It's a good mix.
Oh. Well, I know when we were growing up, everyone thought my family were, and my mum was having problems with me, and a friend said, I don't know, Christine, go and talk to the rabbi. And she paused and she went, OK. So I blame her. From then on, we've had to pretend. Yeah.
Oh, OK.
Anyway, I had a bit of an incident this week.
Oh, dear.
Because, obviously, much like yourself, there's someone I work with, he's made the assumption. We call it the assumption. He's booked a restaurant, and this is a sort of big work lunch. And obviously, in an effort to treat me, he says, I've booked a restaurant, we're going to Mishkin's. You've obviously been there before, I don't need to ask, because this is a big Jewish restaurant.
Right.
I went, yes, obviously. Because I didn't want to disappoint him.
No.
He said, well, I think you'll know what to order, no problem. See, you can talk us through the menu.
Oh.
I didn't know what to order, because I'm not Jewish.
Smoked salmon and cream cheese bagel.
Thanks for the tip, I'll remember that.
Every
How
time.
Route 1 could you get? So we go to Mishkin's. I'm feeling nervous.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really Jewish, and everyone who works there is, and I think they can smell what I'm not.
OK.
So we sit down, we get the menu out, he starts talking. He's doing this again. You'll know what to order, talk us through the menu. I thought, I've got to break cover, Frank. I've got to out myself as a Gentile. I did it quite... I said, I'm not Jewish. I didn't like that.
Oh,
Route
dear.
one.
Look, I've had enough of this. I'm not Jewish, and that's it.
Sounded quite aggressive.
Yeah, oh dear. Now that sounds like you didn't want to be Jewish.
And I did.
Yeah.
He's a Swede himself.
Oh, okay. Well, he was food themed.
Well, this is what I...
Why couldn't you have gone to a root vegetable restaurant?
Do you know, he
See
said...
Graham Taylor in the corner.
Very
Sulkily
good.
eating. Okay.
He said it was all right, but it wasn't. And do you know what? I could see him re-evaluating me. He went, oh, right, no problem, oh, okay.
Gone off, you know, you don't
So-
have that sort of exotic specialness, do you?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, people always think I'm Graham Norton, so don't come. You can imagine the kind of clubs they take me to as a treat.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, you know, we were talking about me pretending to be Jewish, or people assuming I was.
Yeah.
We've had a text in about one of my Jewish best friends. And one of yours. This is from 546. Hi, FAE. I saw David Baddiel in conversation with David Mitchell at a bookshop event this week. I now have a man crush on David Baddiel. What a handsome man. I will love that.
Yeah.
That's nice, isn't
Isn't
it?
that nice?
Who's that from? Is there a name?
That's from 546.
Okay, yes, I can see it now.
Mm.
Now you put it like that. I saw David Baddiel doing stand-up this week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I have to say, it was absolutely tremendous. And I'm not just saying that
Right.
because my life will be a misery if I said anything else. No, it was. In fact, it's made me think, why don't I go and do stand-up again? Because it's a joyous thing when it's done properly.
So-
I'll tell you something else. I think people assume of me that I'm deaf.
Do they?
Yeah, I get a lot of people come up to me and go, Frankie! Hello, Frankie! From about 3 feet away.
Right. Well, I think that has had an impact, because sometimes you do not hear some things that people have said to you in this studio. when
No,
we're talking through the song. Perhaps they've deafened you in an ironic way.
I think they have, and it's... or sometimes from vans, I get
Oh,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Or just the blast of the, what I like to call a drive-by tooting. And the other day, there was a van. It wasn't actually a white van, but it was a van. And a fellow, jolly rotund sort of a fellow, put his head out the window and went, Legend! And I thought, that's nice. And then I looked round and King Arthur was standing just I made such a fool of myself.
Oh, what a shame.
He just smiled, no, he knew I'd made a...
Frank, can I just say, I kind of assumed Alan was Scandi. I thought there was Scandi blood.
Oh,
Gotta be
Scandinavian.
honest.
I thought you said Gandhi.
No, not Gandhi.
Sorry, I'm a
no,
bit
oh
deaf.
my God.
I thought he was Gandhi when I first met him. I thought, well, let's put a bit of weight on.
I thought he was
It
Swedish.
looks all the better for it.
I thought you were a Swede or a Dane.
Well, I did play Truls Hartman in The Killing. I didn't. But
Then I found out you were
people-
from West Yorkshire.
We know what you played.
Occasionally.
You played, was it Sid the Asthmatic?
Jason,
Jason the Asthmatic.
Jason the
And
Asthmatic.
always
But
and everything.
I did go through a phase about 5-6 years ago where everybody assumed that I had played the teenage son in My Family, because I look a bit like that Chris
Oh, yeah.
Marshall
I
character
know
that
that,
was
yeah.
in the BT
Oh, no,
Internet
he doesn't
advert.
Yeah,
as
behave-
well.
he doesn't
I bet you took
behave well.
advantage of that
He doesn't behave well.
misunderstanding, am I right?
No, I didn't.
okay.
Al, can I
used
just establish something, Frank, to save on future
You
misunderstandings?
can, as long as it's not at a
Was-
major national bank. No. That'll take ages.
Was Jason the Asthmatic a recurring role?
No, it's
or
a
was
one-off.
Really? How many lines?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I did a lot of panting though.
Oh, yeah, it'd be a big panting role.
Here's
Did you do
It's like
any...
Shep.
was there any inhaler work?
no. There was a
Really?
bit of the old.
Oh, did you get that?
I got a bit of that. Here's the thing
The
that
what?
people,
Sorry?
when they do the bringing someone back to life thing.
Oh, the
Oh, no,
defibrillators.
it was the
Paddles.
yeah
Paddles.
paddles. There was a gas mat. There was all sorts going on. It was a complicated scene.
Wow.
Anyway, here's the thing that people genuinely often assume about me is that I am going to be terrible at things. If I go and do something, people just assume that I'm going to be rubbish at it.
Really?
I don't mean just stand up. I mean,
No.
like, other stuff.
Shaving.
Years ago. Years
You
ago.
won't get that
I
on
did,
radio.
exactly. Keep it visual.
Sorry.
I did, the sort of motorbike test where you learn how to ride a scooter. Only the compulsory...
Like a proficiency test, yeah.
They ought to call that a scooter
The
test.
basic one. I
That's
did
just gonna
that.
confuse people.
And there was a couple of teenage lads in that had obviously got into motorbikes. It's like the entry-level thing that you do.
Oh, yeah.
Halfway through the day's course, I've done the figure of 8 round the cones.
Oh,
and the,
bless your heart, bit humiliating.
and the instructor just came up and said to me, I'm going to be honest, I just assumed in the classroom that you were going to be rubbish at this. He just told me. And I went,
I wonder why that would
I
be.
went, what? It's just a thing. If we all now...
I told you not to take that Labrador. No, to me you look like a sort of big, strong, competent type of a character.
No, people... If we all did anything... If we went hang gliding together, the hang gliding instructor would assume that I would be the worst of the
I
three
don't
of
think
us.
that's true, do you?
Honestly.
Well, I'm here for a start.
They
Well,
would.
and me think, well, that old geezer's going to go off on a hang glide.
If we went, he'd be thinking, that old geezer and that Jewish girl are going to be better than that lanky guy.
No.
They would.
Imagine me
They
coming
would.
out of the sky at you.
I promise you.
It'd be like when they opened the Ark in Raiders of the Lost Ark and those horrible skeleton-faced demons are encircling the room. Oh, I'd bear thinking about.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
If I was to say the words Amazon and Ape Man, it wouldn't be that I was buying a book.
No, I never ordered that.
It was a story this week, the Ape Man of the Amazon.
I saw that.
A 75-year-old picture of this Ape Man from the 1930s, and it's an incredible-looking chap. If you haven't seen it, to the listenership, let's just say if they made a film of his life, Leslie Ash would be making a return to the acting community.
Very unkind.
I don't think that's unkind. I think should be a shoo-in.
Yeah.
Surely. Yeah, really weird.
He has got very big lips. He's an ape man now.
It
You'd
says
expect
in the
that.
paper, his giant lips and furrowed brow and awkward monkey-like gait appear to be simian, and Dutch magazine Het Leven, which published them in 1937, certainly seemed convinced. But
He looks like he's had straight off 3 tubes of salt and vinegar Pringles, leaving his lips salty and swollen. Stinging.
Pringles problem.
Stinging.
He's
That's what it
got
looks like.
a lovely head of almost Kennedy family hair, though.
Yeah,
It's like a mix between Kennedy and a mop top from the Beatles, isn't it?
Can I say something controversial? I think
Yeah.
he's quite hot. I know that's
the
weird.
1930s ape man.
Yeah, no, he's not Vince Cable levels, but
No.
he's a little bit shouldn't but would. Is that weird?
I think that's true of all ape men that's been discovered.
Shouldn't but would.
I always thought that of...
There's something about him. He's very testosterone-y.
yeah, well, so's Bigfoot, of course.
This is true. He's very masculine. I like the anger on his face. It
Whereas
attracts me.
Smallfoot, I don't know if you remember that one, I thought was quite effeminate.
Yeah, not seen Smallfoot. But I can
Smallfoot,
believe
oh,
it.
he looks a very jolly kind of a chap.
Proudfoot? We're going to do all the feet.
No, let's not do all of it.
They're suggesting, though, of course, that it's a hoax, aren't they?
They
An
are.
elaborate 30s hoax.
Based, it seems, largely on the fact that he's quite clean-shaven for someone that's just come out of the woods. They seem to think that
Yeah.
he would have had a bit of beard or grizzle.
Well, I'm afraid, I know this is becoming something that people do a lot, but I couldn't resist looking at the Daily Mail comments.
Oh, I bet they delivered.
Well, a lot of people got really angry about the idea that we'd descended from the apes, which says something about Daily Mail. We descended from what? One bloke, what about this for a very specific gripe? This is Tommy from Durham, who says it. Well, some reporters might have descended from the apes, but I certainly didn't. And neither did the good folk of County Durham, Northumberland and Cumbria.
Very specific.
Just those three areas.
Obviously, he's done research, and that's as far as he could get on
Very
his boss
specific
pass.
creationist anger.
Perhaps my favourite one. Bear in mind, this is a picture of an ape man, which is, not when you first see it, you think, oh my God, it's shocking.
Yeah.
Like, it's the missing link. It's a remarkable photo. And he's standing, this bloke and this woman are sort of holding him. And you look at it, and even if when you first see it, it is quite a shocking picture. And then this bloke, who is called this Ghost from Hereford, said, oh, I don't know, but the woman with him's got an incredible body.
That is true, though.
I love a bit of cadaver lost. Like, it's a woman from 1937 that is. But it sort of reassured me that mankind will always continue, because even if you're threatened by the missing link, you'll still notice that blonde on the side. Did I ever tell you about my gun experience in Milan?
Charlton Heston.
Oh. I think I've heard you talk about that before.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, can I just say, we were in here watching telly, and who should come on the screen but you? And I got really excited.
I get excited if I come on the screen in a shop with CCTV. Damn, the novelty's never worn off.
Can I say, I don't want this to get creepy here, but you look very handsome.
Oh, thank you very much.
Best looking in that room.
I am. Well, you know, the makeup and all that they put on you.
No, you look lovely.
But best looking in a room full of comics is rarely that big a compliment, is it?
No, he was, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the 30s Ape Man would be best looking. See, not anymore. When I started, comics were quite ugly in the main. But now there's a lot of those young boys with the chrysanthemum haircut and the tight jeans.
Oh, they don't eat either.
No, they don't eat.
Same with lions.
You know what? Well, they live on laughter.
Same with
That's not what I've
lions, isn't
heard.
it? Lions, they're quite ugly in the main.
That's absolutely tremendous.
A bit laboured.
Oh, I've only just got
Let's
it.
move on. We'll move on.
But if you're a fan of puns,
I am.
you'll enjoy this,
Oh.
which is an email we've just received. Hello, everyone. I know how...
I don't get it.
Is it Halo?
I think you'll find this is from Joe in the Basement.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Who... Are you familiar with his work?
yeah.
He's the bloke that you always say, are you sure you're not from Birmingham? Because you look like you are. And he says, no, I'm not.
Okay. Yeah, he's definitely from Birmingham.
He's not, Frank.
I know that look. I do. Of course I know it.
I know how much you all like a pun, and I came up with one that I'm very proud of and wanted to share.
Did you?
I had to... Let me do the pun. Let me give it a proper
I'm
service.
so anxious.
I had to kick the new Bond villain out of my pub the other night. Have you barred him? No, he can come back when he's sober.
I'll tell you what, it's good. I like it.
I'm worried it's been written before and recycled every time a new film of his is out, but I'm claiming ownership for now.
I don't think you should worry about the avalanche of Javier Bardem puns knocking around.
No, I
It's
don't.
good.
No, he's good. Oh, yeah. I like
On
that.
the
We don't
subject
get many
of
texts from the basement.
no, we don't. On the subject of punnery, we had an email. We should perhaps explain that when people send in an email about something else and then right at the end they propose a date with Emily,
Which they do a lot.
they do seem to be doing more and more. It would appear. You call it a night move.
Well, a knight's move, as in like the chessboard, where the knight suddenly... It moves in a way you don't expect.
Yes.
Is the whole idea.
It's a sudden sharp turn.
Yeah, so it's going one way, and then, whoa, suddenly it's become amorous.
So just for clarity, we're looking at Knight's Move. That's Knight apostrophe S. But here we've had an email. Dear Frank the Cockerel and Emily, I wondered if Emily enjoys the clocks going back, given that Knight's Move.
Oh.
That is all. Very good, John Riley. Very
John
good.
C. Riley, lovely.
Indeed, yeah.
I
Love
like
John
it.
C. Riley.
Very good.
When
wordplay.
do the clocks go back? What time do they?
It's 2 a.m. on Saturday, isn't it? Or Sunday morning.
I like
if
the
you
way they
look
try
at
and
it.
sneak it through. 2 a.m, no one will notice, so just get it out.
It is, it's to
Why
stop
don't
your
they
body
do-
clock being a bit
Why not
weird.
2 o'clock in the afternoon so we can enjoy it?
I know. You're right, Frank. It's biased in favour of the night creatures.
It's
What
ridiculous.
people I'm calling the night
It is.
creatures.
It's trying to sneak it. I mean, what?
But it'd be quite fun, wouldn't it? If you
Frank.
said, right, it's 2 in the afternoon on Saturday,
Yes!
and you moved it back, and then you could say to whoever you're in the
Well-
living room, what time is it? And they could say, it's 1 o'clock again.
Do you ever stay up for
Not
the
if-
changeover? I do.
It wouldn't be fun if you just put a chicken in the oven.
Exactly. Maybe that's
2
why they
minutes
don't
to
do
2.
it.
It's burnt to a sin. I'll sue the government. It makes you wonder what else they're trying to get through at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. We'll probably find that between 10 past 4 and 20 past 4 this morning, we were Holland. I'm worried about it.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were talking about the daylight saving before we were rudely interrupted by some music.
Yeah,
on the
just call
radio.
us Panorama.
And Someone's texted in, it's no fun for night workers as extra hour is difficult.
Well, that's funny, because Daisy, the producer, had a theory. And she said, I know why the clocks go about what happens at 2 in the morning. It's because of nightclubs. Because they don't. She said with great authority.
Yeah.
So it's all as a result of nightclubs.
I think the whole Greenwich Mean Time thing is based basically on the turning out of nightclubs.
How good would that be, though, if you were in a nightclub thinking, I've got to go home in 10 minutes, it's 10 to 2, and then suddenly they went, we forgot it's daylight saving, hour.
For the serious drinker, it would be a nightmare.
Or a blessing,
It's
surely.
like when you find out there's 10 more overs and you've used your best bowler up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm one. By the time they stop serving, I'm basically an ambulance case. I don't want to find I've got another hour.
God.
Can you imagine it?
Frank, I'd like to return briefly to Email Corner.
Let's do it.
Hi, Frank, Emily and Alan. My mum uses the phrase pig iron.
Pig iron!
To denote the doing of a thing in spite of another thing. For example, even though Richard Hammond knows Emily hates a bootcut jean, he continues to wear them for sheer pig iron. No sense to it, but we are Irish and we say a lot of nonsensical stuff. Laura in Cork, 028.
I think she's grasping for the word headedness,
Yeah.
isn't she? It's pig-headedness, not pig iron. Unless she plays a sort of iron-based form of blankety blank,
Yes.
which you replace. Does she say happy as a pig in iron?
No. I think we should adopt it. I like that, though.
I do, yeah.
Also, I like the idea of the listenership telling us weird things their mum says. I think that's a fun...
I'm very happy for people to... Let's make that the texting for the last hour.
What weird
Weird
stuff
things
does
that
your
your
mum say?
parents... Well, let's just say mum. Or should we say parents? Let's say parents. Don't be
Okay.
sexist.
Yeah.
My mum used to say you shouldn't eat fruit before going to bed. It gives you a sore tummy.
Sore tummy is very parent.
Ridiculous.
She's insane.
Yeah. Oh, would my mum say that? Pigs will iron.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. I'm with Emily Dean and Alan the Cockerel Cochrane. You can text us on 81215. Follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute.
Frank.
What?
Ow, that's very loud. You were talking earlier about what's that? Not. I can't hear you now. I'm taking my headphones off.
No, it's Frank.
Someone sorry.
Was it someone going?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was someone talking about strange things that mums say.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
My mum calls the internet the dit-dit-dot because she thinks it must work by semaphore. That's from Doug in Reading.
That's Morse code.
Yes,
Isn't it?
that's what I would have thought. Semaphore's
Dit-dit-dot.
flags.
Yeah, but I like it.
I quite like
The
it.
dit-dit-dot.
We've also had a text in from your brother, Keith.
I'm going to call it that forever now.
We've had a text
Oh,
in
our
from
Keith.
our
Our Keith has texted in.
My mate John says he knows as much as a pig knows about white shirts. That's, like, I'm assuming that means if he doesn't know about something.
He says, yeah, he'll say, I know much about that as a pig knows about white shirts.
My mum
That's good,
sometimes
I like
says
that.
I'm not as green as I'm cabbage looking.
Oh, yeah,
Is that quite common?
That's quite common.
I never know
Is
with
it?
my mum because she's Scottish and weird, so it's sometimes...
Lou Ferrigno used to say it. I knew him quite well.
My mum used to say, darling, we never ask for autographs in our family. That's what she said to
No,
me.
they never
That's a
said
good
that.
rule, though.
Yeah.
My mum had Noel Gordon's autograph on the mirror
Did
in
she?
our lounge for 20 years.
Really?
Oh,
Seinfeld for Noel Gordon.
Is-
I remember they had there's a Birmingham website, I think, called This Is Birmingham, and they said, what famous Birmingham celebrities have you spotted around the town? And a guy emailed in and said, I saw Noel Gordon from Crossroads fame.
Yeah.
Well, I say I saw her. I couldn't actually see her because she was in a coffin.
oh, God. God.
The worst celebrity spotting.
Frank, did you see Oprah this week?
Oh, Oprah in the slippers.
Yes.
Yeah, Oprah
Not
Winfrey
an
was,
opera.
was out on the town.
Grand old Oprah, as I call her.
Ah,
Yeah.
good. She's a complete mystery to me, actually, Oprah. But anyway,
Is she?
yeah,
I would
because
have just assumed that you'd worked with her.
no, I've never worked with Oprah, but she is
You'd worked
very,
with them all.
very, very, very famous and successful. I mean, like one of the biggest stars ever in the history of television. Why is that?
Oh dear, I didn't think it was going to be this controversial.
No, I don't. She's perfectly talented and does a good job and all that. But why her and not
Trisha.
Trish? Yeah, Trisha.
Really?
Yeah, or Robert Kilroy Silk.
Oh, there's a name from the past.
Yeah,
I
but
forgot about.
why? What's special about Oprah? I don't get it.
She's every woman.
Yeah. You know what? In terms
No, I'm
of
just
the,
quoting Shaka Khan. I wasn't
okay.
saying Oprah was every woman.
Okay, no.
I mean, I think it was all there for the taking for Robert Kilroy Silk until he started campaigning on behalf of UKIP, didn't he, at one point? And I think
Yeah,
that
well,
might have
I
been...
must say that Oprah has sidestepped that particular.
Yeah, she really hasn't done
bit for-
that much for UKIP.
No,
She was
but
wearing...
you slip. She's big on.
You slip, yeah, because she had the slippers on.
Yes, in public.
Well, they were green, fluffy. It was the nature of said slippers. They were kind of frog comedy slippers, weren't they?
Yeah.
I think they're the sort of thing best worn under 25, love.
Dear.
Yes, I think once you hit 30, it's a little bit
When you
worrying.
say under 25, do you mean in age? Because with
Yes.
Oprah, that could mean stones, couldn't it? I mean,
Oh my God.
no, she goes up and down.
Elephant
She's well
is
known
in the
for
room.
it. She's well
Oh
known.
no, she's not.
She goes up and down. I've never heard such gossip.
People say that about Oprah.
Well, I used to have a massive pair of Zebedee slippers, which I wore all the time. I
Did
mean,
you?
they were like a foot long, well, literally and metaphorically, and had like the big Zebedee head and everything, and they were fabulous.
Really?
I got nothing against the ornamental. I'm thinking I might have another crack at Crocs.
Are you?
Yeah, they've become so unfashionable now. I think that might be right for me.
Yeah.
You
give
can wear
them
that with
another
your
go.
cloak, Frank. That'd look nice.
Oh, Crocs and a cloak would be an amazing combo.
I
for
just
Frank
think
Skinner.
when you step out of your house, you never know who you're going to run into. Always maintain standards. I always do.
Yeah,
Oh.
but are Crocs a bad thing? I'm not talking about wearing them naked. I'm on about with a few gibbets.
Naked?
No, but I'm on about adding a few gibbets.
What gibbets?
You know the gibbets they put on them, those badges?
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Are they called gibbets?
that's what they're called, gibbets.
Are they?
Yeah.
I can't get out of my head the image of you naked wearing a pair of
No,
Crocs.
that was a. I'm not going to do that. But me say, and a couple of Hello Kitty gibbets on the side.
Yeah.
Would you wear those England supporter cropped cargo pants with them, though? No.
Never.
Okay.
Don't ever ask me that again.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
The thing I like about the Oprah going to the shops in her slippers is that apparently she's worth billions of dollars, like literally not millions, billions. And she's still got the common touch, because I don't wear slippers in the house, but sometimes if I'm going to the corner shop, I'll put on some flip-flops.
You'll put them on to go out.
I'll put flip-flops on to go to the shop, and I'll occasionally
Billions
do
of
them.
dollars, but still can't padlock the fridge.
See, and I was castigated for
I'm
saying
allowed.
stones.
We're an oppressed people.
Oh, okay.
Ladies.
That happened to me. When I first started to do well in comedy and started to make a few bob, I realised why posh people go to posh restaurants, ridiculously expensive restaurants. Well, because I carried on going to the same places I used to go to, but obviously I had more money. So I'd go into KFC and spend 4 times more than I used to. And within 6 months, I'd put on about 4 stone. And I thought, I'm going to have to go somewhere more expensive where I can afford smaller amounts of food. So that's what happens.
Oh, I see.
Poor Oprah. I can forgive someone with a garish shoe, because I think the shoes, the feet, they're far enough from the brain that they've got a bit of their own sort of independence.
They're like a separate Commonwealth or something.
Yeah,
from-
exactly.
Frank-
It's like if I'm France and they're Monaco.
Do you dress down intentionally for, let's call it a corner shop run? Would you put?
I wouldn't dress down intentionally.
Would you keep a tracksuit on?
It depends. I mean, a man
dress up for
my
a
age.
corner shop,
If
though?
I'm out, a man of my age in a tracksuit, someone is going to stop me and say, "Do you know where you are?" You know what I mean? It's going to be. I've had ambulances screech to a halt. So no, I do make a bit of an effort on that front. And I'll never wear a baseball cap because I'm not American.
No.
Good rule.
Yeah, I think I feel very strictly about that.
Nor are you an inventor of Microsoft.
Oh, he pops one on.
Well, you
Yeah.
say that. We'll see what the court case
Oh.
comes.
I'd love it if it turned out you were.
if I was suing Bill Gates.
Strange story from Birmingham. Frank, strange sayings. Jenny says, when I was a child and attempting to whistle, my nana used to say to me, a whistling woman and a crowing hen are neither fit for God nor men. I'm not sure what it meant, really, although I'm sure it was mean-spirited.
No, I've heard that before. It means that if a woman whistles or a hen crows like a cockroach should crow, it's like women doing what is traditionally a male sound effect.
Yeah.
It suggests some flaw in their personality, I think, is what it means.
Oh, dear.
I like to hear a woman whistle.
We've had another
Before
couple.
and after.
Oh, my God.
What?
I don't like what that implied.
What? I'm on about... I don't know if you know, I worked on One Man and His Dog for many years.
Did you?
Yeah, and I met a lot of very lovely female shepherds.
They're nice.
Come here, come by, Glenn. Come by, good bitch. Come here, come here. You laugh, but there'll be dogs all over Britain going absolutely crazy near a radio. Come here. Come here. Come here.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, I'm taking us back into email corner.
Do you need the jingle?
No,
Good.
I don't need it.
Shall we give you another jingle? Just because we've
I
got
feel
jingles.
it about my being.
Yeah, you'll like this one.
Oh, I love
Oh, I thought you were going to do the other one.
Tra la la
it.
la.
Oh, I love that.
Da, da, da. Oh, it's a long one, this one, isn't it?
Isn't it?
You can start.
Okay, dear Frank, Alan,
I'm sick
and
of
Emily,
this now. I'm really sick of this now.
I had an
going on with this
interesting
one?
reaction.
Is it an email or a bed? I've used a radio term there. Bed.
Oh, God.
You're
Let's
playing
just
a
get
bed.
that down altogether.
This is the most chaotic beginning to the
I'm
reading of
sorry,
an email.
I just clicked a jingle and it took over the world.
Turns out it's a bed.
Dear Frank, Alan and Emily, I had an interesting reaction to your discussion of 70s aftershave.
Oh, yeah.
This was last week. First, the pleasure of Frank's Demis Roussos impression, which reminded me of my mate's rhyming slang. In the 70s, they used to call convertible cars a Demis, as in roof off.
Oh,
Blimey, that's a stretch, but I like... Oh, it's not a stretch, obviously. I don't know what they called them.
However,
Armstrong.
Good, though. I like it.
this was followed by the dark stain of shame as you moved on to the subject of aftershave. It reminded me of my brief career as a 13-year-old thief.
Oh.
At that age, I became obsessed with men's toiletries, believing it to attract girls, and turned to crime to feed my obsession.
I like it's exciting, isn't it?
The great smell of Brute and Brute 33, Blue Stratos, Denim, Aramis, with the sole exception of High Karate, which was too disgusting even for my 13-year-old sensibilities.
I find that weird. I love Thai karate.
Yes, we know. I used a converted Macintosh coat with special pockets for my nicking sprees and hid my stash in an old suitcase under my bed.
Thank God he wasn't pursued by sniffer dogs. Might have been a lovely day out for them, wouldn't it?
I had a special love of Brute 33 hairspray to keep in place my feathered mullet, which sounds like an ancient avian piscine hybrid, but was in fact a haircut. And eventually my scent-based kleptomania was revealed when I was caught, thankfully, after about a month, by my mother, finding the case, and my crime spree ended for good. I'm so ashamed of my toiletry thieving that I never committed a crime again. I became a reformed, if slightly less fragrant character. Keep up the good work, Matt.
Well, that's it. I hope Matt feels a lot better for getting that off his armpits, as it were. Fabergé, of course...
I thought you were saying that like fabulous. I
But
quite
it is
like
like
it. Fabergé.
It is that. A Fabergé sounds like a really good review of a Tintin book. Oh, that's it's good that. No, I like to hear of someone going straight after a difficult youth.
It's Fabergé.
Learning, innit? It's good learning.
I went straight after a difficult youth.
Yes.
Yeah, I said, get out. Never again, I said.
It's Let's move on. I like the fact that he used a converted Macintosh coat, giving him a sort of evil Inspector Gadget kind of air about him.
Yeah.
Go Gadget
Little
arms.
Secret Squirrel.
Get me that Brute 33.
Do you remember Secret Squirrel?
I don't remember.
Oh, I do.
Oh, yeah. He was very private.
Oh, well,
Very private individual.
Did he leave the show to spend more time with his family?
I think he did,
Yeah.
I think he did. What else?
oh,
I
there's,
presume it's something that Alan's going to do, because there's one of those long pauses when nothing happens.
I don't think that's fair. Is it? Oh, maybe.
Yes.
Dear Frank, Alan and Emily, I'll do
This
an
is when
email.
Kat says to me, were you really upset with the cockerel when I get home?
Were you?
And I say, no, I wasn't.
As a podcast listener, I am
It's
currently...
just like a little pull on the chain, that's all it is. See it like
right.
that?
Yeah,
I don't know
bet.
if you've ever done any Arctic dog work.
No, I haven't.
You let one run random and you're all over the show.
Yeah.
As a podcast listener, I am currently up to September 2010, so just very much enjoyed... This is the joy of the podcast,
Oh my
isn't it?
God,
Very much
I'm still
enjoyed...
wearing jeggings, Frank.
Were you?
Yes.
Very
It's
much enjoyed...
interesting.
Me too.
I'm still working my way through a box set of the lottery shows. I don't find they've aged that well. They're on Dave, if you're interested.
Very much enjoyed tales of Kate Winslet's sorbet relationship with Lewis Dowler.
Blimey, let's go
To
back.
see if Emily's theory checked out, I googled and see they only split this summer. Not sure this constitutes a sorbet relationship, but discovering her new beau is called Ned Rock and Roll brightened my day considerably. Right, back to the podcasts. Already looking forward to 2011. Hello, Alan, by the way. I'm sure you'll be great on the show. Matt.
Oh, of course you haven't arrived yet.
I've not arrived. In September 2010, I was
Isn't it brilliant? It's like
I was an
Doctor Who.
untapped talent. I was, the phone. People weren't
you were
ringing
fresh
quite
meat.
as much. Yeah, kinda, yeah. I was a bit more like John Travolta before Pulp Fiction.
Can I just say, Frank, just FYI, that wasn't a sorbet relationship. That was what I would call not finishing the soup before the mains arrived. That was that relationship.
Ned Rock and Roll.
What was your sorbet then?
He's quite brave bloke to call himself Ned Rock and Roll.
Do you think he's called himself it? I thought you got your surname.
No, I think he's chosen that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if I
Oh,
went for
so
frank
naive.
comedy, wouldn't you think I was pushing my luck just a little bit?
I thought Hello, Mr. Radio might be, but no.
Right, it worked for Carol Smiley.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I have a story that I was keen to discuss, which I think might be a trifle amusing if you've got the right frame of mind towards it.
I'm loving this as an intro.
Screaming children
I like
flee
it so far.
cinema
Brilliant.
in terror after
Oh.
bungling staff show paranormal activity instead
not
of
Bungle
Madagascar 3.
Bungle from Play School.
Yes,
Yeah, that's what he's done now. You know, like Zamo's got a...
He was
locksmith's-
Rainbow, wasn't he? Terrible voice for broadcasting.
What? Who was?
Bungle.
Which one was he? Was he with either one?
He
who
was the
said-
bear.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah. Who's the one that works on the meat counter
That
at
was Zippy.
Selfridges in Kingston?
Oh,
I think it's Jeffrey.
is it? Is
Yeah.
that right?
Jeffrey. I'll just have 3 slices of ham. Oh, no. Terrible.
If there's listeners in Kingston now, they'll be making a beeline for there to check out this fact.
I think it was Kingston. It was somewhere around there. Somewhere.
Okay.
Well, anyway,
I'm saying
the,
he's still there.
So there was a bit of a mix-up, wasn't there?
parents are claiming that their children were left scarred for life, which makes me think compensation claim
Yes.
pending.
Well, I'm thinking it was Cineworld. They're probably thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind a few unlimited cards.
Yeah.
That's what they're thinking.
One of
Free
the
popcorn.
I like one of the mothers who, according to the Daily Mail, said it's enough to make grown men jump. So you can imagine the terror in these young faces. Yeah, she so
the lot-
didn't
what-
say that. A Daily Mail sub said that.
There was one mum that said, the paranormal activity films are the scariest since The Exorcist. And you think, all right, Mark Commode, you're meant to be an upset mum, not a film critic.
I haven't seen these films, but I when I read this story, I thought, that'd be all right, wouldn't it? Because you'd be in the cinema, and then it would go dark, and you'd hear... And then it would say paranormal activity, and you'd say, "Oh no, this isn't the right film." Off we go. But this woman says it opens with a blood-covered corpse going full pelt straight towards camera, and I thought, well, it's an old theatrical saying: "Leave yourself somewhere to go." You don't want to start a film like that, do you? It's true. You see, on today's show, I led them in root canal surgery. I led them in a nice, gentle domestic story. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, they're with us. They're up and ready for the masquerade paranormal activity, Farrago.
Exactly.
Farrago wasn't involved.
No.
That's Fargo.
But Frank, this happened to me once.
Did it?
When I was a kid, me and my sister were going to see Grease 2 in Hampstead, the Hampstead Classic, I believe it was.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes.
It's not a great film.
Well, no, I tell you what's also not a great film, John Carpenter's The Thing, which we walked into Screen 2 by mistake. We realised quite early on when we saw there was a double-headed corpse being autopsied.
Okay.
And then we thought, this is quite fun and quite exciting, because we would never have been, I believe it was an 18. We stayed for a bit, and then we were worried we'd get found out, so we walked out.
You weren't frightened?
Oh, God, no. I've been acting with
scar you
Triffids
for
since
life.
I was...
Of course.
I think kids are pretty good with scary stuff. I think it was just the out of context thing. You know, sometimes we come in here on a Saturday morning, and there's a toilet roll.
Yeah.
Now, I got nothing against the toilet roll in a toilet. If I see a toilet roll in a normal room or a radio studio, I get a bit clammy. You know what I mean? It makes me feel uneasy. I don't think it's in here this morning, I'm very glad to say. There's actually, like, what seems to be special poles for it to sit on. And I'm not happy with that. So I feel what those children must have felt when they saw that. There was could I just say there's a great quote from the management of Nottingham Cineworld who says, "We are currently working with technicians to ensure this does not happen again." What's the nature of that work? Paul, don't do that again. All right.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'd like to read an email out that we've received. This is addressed to Team Skinner.
I like it.
Sort of Olympian throwback, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As a long-time listener to your podcast, imagine my delight at seeing the cockerel getting on a tram in Manchester as I was getting off. 1943.
Yeah, tram.
It's got trams, Manchester.
I was about to say hi to the big man when I noticed that he was looking around in a shifty way.
Was I?
This got me wondering if Alun, like myself, indulges in a bit of secret street theatre and sometimes pretends he's an undercover agent from a black and white detective film. I'd rather that than the alternative that he was doing an Osborne and bumming a ride without a ticket.
Who does that then?
James.
Which Osborne was that?
Oh, George Osborne.
Yeah, George
Last
Osborne.
week was sat in first class and apparently was on a standard ticket. It was in the papers. It's a really big story last week.
I remember it now.
So, Cockerel.
I have once done that. The first time I got the tram, when it moved to my area of Manchester. But then I believe I talked about it on the podcast because I was sat on the tram without a ticket and there was a wedding that were all getting married on the tram on the Metrolink, so they all got on with photographers and about 20 Metrolink staff, and it's just scared me. It gave me the heebie-jeebies, so I've always bought a ticket since that day. I feel like I should tell the learning curve.
I think that's the second case of a criminal going straight that we've had on the show.
It is, isn't it?
Except this one wasn't 13 when they had the epiphany.
True. But as for looking around in a shifty way, I mean, I don't know who this chap is, but perhaps he was staring at me and I just looked away because I thought, why is that fella staring at me? You know, I don't expect to be recognised. I don't walk onto the tram thinking, oh, that guy's got Dave and insomnia. He's probably seen me on a panel game once or twice. I just assume
Maybe
that
the clocks were going back and he was watching.
I just assume I'm incognito, you know?
Well, do you ever do that, though? Pretend that you're in some sort of film or something?
Oh, yeah.
I do you know what,
Constantly.
I have a weird thing. I've never told anyone this before, but when I'm on the toilet, I pretend this is it's a proper big acting job,
Did
not
you
a
say
casual
this is
thought.
regular?
I always I always pretend that I'm being interviewed by. I've been called in by a gangland boss. And it's always a name. He'll say to me, do you know Dave Wells? And I'll always say, no, I don't know him. I mean, I've met him a couple of times. And he'll say, OK, he's disappeared with some money of mine or some other such thing that he's done to this dangerous bloke. And then it comes up that, in fact, someone's seen me with him and he was staying at my house for a couple of days and I know him a lot better. And And it's the same scenario every time. Of me denying I know him, and then the gangland boss gradually breaking me down. And then a floshing sound. And I'm out of there just before I get nailed to a garage floor. I can't explain it, and I'm not sure I should have voiced it openly. But there it is.
Whiles away a bit of time, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I'm in there anyway. I might as well enjoy myself being terrorised by hoodlums. If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again at the same time next week. Thank you so much for listening, and we love you all.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.